All right, I'm going to do a reading right now on basically whatever is coming next, the big disruptive thing that comes next for us here in the global community of humans on Earth. So let's just see what we get. Are we looking at war? Are we looking at some sort of natural disaster? Freaking aliens? Like, what do we got? All right. So the root card here is the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is the military commander. Um, this combined with the Death card as the main card, this is probably talking about some pretty massive war, I do believe. Now, the Death card is really about getting rid of whatever was there before to make room for what is coming next, which means that it's probably tied directly to New World Order plans and that sort of thing. Um, on one side, so as we look what comes before and after the Death card, so before it is the Queen of Cups. And here, the Queen of Cups, she basically looks like she's giving her devotion to the King of Swords. I'm going to pull another card on this Queen of Cups just to see what we got going on here, but we're probably looking at leaders of countries. And the Six of Wands, I mean, if this is a yes or no to is this the leader of a country, that would be a yes. But the Six of Wands is one that is recognized. This is also like someone who is victorious. As I'm looking a little deeper into this, trying to figure out which world leader would be shown as a Queen of Cups, now I am thinking that it is probably Mother Russia. Now, here, the Queen of Cups is giving this sort of devotion to the King of Swords. So this would be Russia's devotion to, I believe, some other military leader. And then on the other side of this big transition that happens in the Death card is the Eight of Pentacles. So we're going to pull another card on that. Um, Essentially, this is just manufacturing, but what do we get here? So, combined with the Five of Swords, this might be maybe like a halt in manufacturing or some sort of big disruption to it. Now, this would make sense to me if this is the key to like the one world government and it would kind of change how the manufacturing and all of that is done. Now, what I'm going to do is pull another card on this Death card just to see what, what we get to sort of modify or tell us more about this Death card. And we get the Queen of Pentacles. And theoretically, this is another country, like another leader of some country. And a big transition being made, the previous child being smushed, and the new to make room for whatever it is that wants to come out now. Alrighty. Now, what I'm going to do is just sort of ask a yes or no at this point. And is this war? Is that what it's showing us here? And I think that this is more of a financial thing. Now, it'd be backed up by military power, it looks like, because we've got this King of Swords over here. But I'm not so sure this is war in, shooting at things sort of way. I think this is an economic war and an economic fundamental shift here. And that makes sense in that case why it would so drastically affect basically worker energy or like manufacturing. And according to the Five of Swords, it would be in a negative way. Alrighty. Now, I guess with what's here, I'm going to pull another card to see if this is the birth of the one world government. Weird. So the reverse judgment card would say not exactly. I mean, it's energy that's like that, but it's not exactly the birth of the government at this point. The reverse judgment card would say maybe the moment is there, but it's like the world is trying not to face that, right? So, um, looking around at either side of this judgment card, first, there's all this energy that's trapped, and you see the moon is screwing with the person's head. So, that would show massive anxiety. And then the reverse judgment card is like kind of avoiding this ultimate judgment. And then on the other side is the Knight of Wands. Now, first, the Knight of Wands would show that eventually, when that sort of judgment is made, that it would happen quickly. But the Knight of Wands is probably also talking about migration. And that makes sense to me in any sort of economic sort of meltdown, right? If you have certain countries that just um, economically are destroyed, then there's going to be a lot of people that are like trying to find any place that they can sort of make ends meet. Um, all right. So, looking at this reverse judgment card, because this would show that it's not exactly the birth of the new government yet, but is that eventually what it's for, or like what it's meant to do. And we get a Page of Swords. Interesting. So I guess if we go back to the Death card, because here we have this previous child that's essentially being sacrificed to make room for something new. The Page of Swords is a child of the King of Swords. So, as far as would this be the one world government or whatever, this would be the birth of the thing I believe that would become the model for the one world government. The one world government wouldn't necessarily happen yet, but when we see all of the financial fuckery that happens in this reading, this would be the kind of thing that would cause people to really want the one world government, right? And it's funny because I think about this all the time. If there were a one world government, there would be absolutely no reason for migrants. You know, it would literally not happen because there would be no point to it. If everything had the same sort of economic system and whatever, I mean, unless you just wanted to be in a different climate, there would be no reason to ever, move out of your country. There would certainly be no economic reasons for it. And I think that is what we're looking at here is through some sort of economic disruption, an economic meltdown that is kind of backed up by some military sort of power. Out of this is a new thing that is being born, and it's either a young country or a young economic system or something like that. But this child that is born out of this economic disruption, I think, sets the pattern for the one world government and, like maybe the universal currency or whatever. But it looks like that doesn't necessarily happen right away because there is a bunch of resistance to that finality. All right. So I'm going to collect these and see what else we get here. What can the cards tell us about this situation or about whatever is coming? All right. King of Pentacles. So this is the businessman. Let's find out what else we got going on here. Queen of Wands. Okay. So theoretically, these are two different world leaders. All right. Well, I guess what I would get out of this Queen of Wands shows up a lot in these various readings, especially about wars in the Middle East. And I'm not really sure what exactly it's referring to, but this is some country or world leader that is just very desirable. Like the other countries really think that that one is cool. It's like the beautiful woman in the room, and everyone is like, hey, I hope she comes and talks to me. And then over here, the King of Pentacles is the business energy, and it's the one with all of the resources and all of that. Now, it looks like there is some sort of a partnership between these two, and that partnership doesn't go well. And it's interesting because the Ten of Swords would show a situation where they probably should have known it wasn't going to go well, but it ends up being really bad. And I mean, I don't know enough about world economic this or that, but people have suggested to me that the Queen of Wands would be Saudi Arabia, right? And the King of Pentacles, you would think, is probably the United States, but I don't know. It's definitely the business energy. It's the investment energy. So we have a partnership between these two, and the Ten of Swords would say that it just doesn't go very well. Now, I guess I'm going to pull a card for impact and a card for a timeline just on this sort of series of events. Because as I ask the question, it's just sort of what is the big ripple or the big wave that comes next. So first we're going to look at a timeline. Now, a Three of Wands says that it's a slow growing energy. This is the point when these things are just about to bloom, right? But a Three of Wands to me would say that it's probably a matter of months, maybe 3 years, but I'm thinking that it's probably like 3 months or maybe 3 seasons. It's a shorter amount of time. And let's just pull a card for world impact. And what we get is the Six of Wands. Now, this fell out on the floor, and I think that's why it's reversed here. But the Six of Wands, which did show up earlier, is sort of like recognition and victory. It's like a victory being recognized. The Six of Wands reversed is basically when you think that you've done everything you need to do and nobody gives a shit. So as far as impact goes, as far as people go, I think it would be people really feeling like they brought it or did their job and they just aren't receiving any sort of reward for it. We got one more that fell out. I don't know why these things keep falling out. And it's another Wands card. All right. So we have the 6 and the 7. The 3, 6, and 7 of wands. Now, ultimately, the wands cards are about fire. It's like, what is the word I'm even looking for? It's inspiration, that sort of energy. And just if you really feel something and you've got the energy to go and do it, that's what we're talking about in these wands cards. And all of the cards that are showing like the impact and even the timeline are all wands cards. But this, it would make sense, I guess, if people weren't being properly rewarded for the shit that they were doing, that maybe they would give less of a fuck about doing it, you know? And I kind of think that that is what we have going on here. And it's interesting the story that's told with this 7 and reverse 6. So in the 7 of wands, the person comes out of the dark and scary forest. And they did that through not giving up and just having guts, and they just keep going and going. And then as they come out of that restriction, it's like no one gives a shit, right? They're like, whatever, like nobody cares. But that's what we get here. I am going to pull one more. Let's just see if there's any other stuff that the cards can say about this theoretical economic sort of meltdown reset. And we get the 2 of wands. And the 2 of wands, it's using a couple, it really, the 2 of wands is about creatively using everything you have. And as I look at this, I'm thinking that maybe this would be a good time to plant something if you can. Maybe it's a good time to grow your own food, but it would probably be a really good time to look at your resources, the tools that you have at your disposal, and make sure that you're getting maximum use out of them. And if you have any resources that you're not getting anything out of, you might want to sort of relook at how you could use them to your advantage. But that's what we get here. And if you do have any other angles you want me to look at this from, or if you have any questions you would like me to do a reading on, hit up the Patreon page. It's only $5, and I will do your reading requests. That's what we have for today, and peace.
Is this the end of days where lava fill the bays? I'm gonna grab some tarot cards, let's see what they say. Who controls the press? Was Will Smith possessed? Let's shuffle up the cards and we'll see. And what about the freaking aliens? Whatever could they be? Let's ask the cards and see. Come on to my Patreon. It's only $5.